Welcome back to Castle Farms Homestead. Today I wanted to share some knowledge or skills with you to help you get on your journey to being more self-reliant. I've had quite a few people tell me that they don't really know how to cook and they don't know how to cook from scratch. And I totally understand that. People are busy and don't have time to do it. And a lot of people were just never taught. They never learned. I know all my adult children have mentioned that they've got friends who don't know how to cook and have asked for help. In our house, I started teaching my kids how to cook when they were about 5 years old. They learned how to scramble eggs, and they didn't do it by themselves. I stood right with them, but they could put butter in the pan and they could break the eggs and they could make scrambled eggs. And then around 7, they learned how to make French toast and just on from there. I know some people who said that their parents didn't want them in the kitchen making a mess, so they never taught them how to cook. And I understand that also. In fact, I had a roommate in college who was from a wealthier family, and they had maids and a cook, and she actually hadn't really been in a kitchen, and she didn't know a lot of things. Like, she knew that raw meat needed to be in the refrigerator, but not after it was cooked, and just so many things. And I felt so bad for her because my mom liked help in the kitchen, and so we all learned how to cook. And as far as not wanting to clean up a mess, well, my mom taught us how to clean also. So that was resolved. So I thought to help you out, we're just going to start really simple. And I just want to teach you how to roast a chicken, because if you can roast a chicken, you can make so many meals. So we're just going to start really simple today. I actually have chicken that is from our chickens that we processed this summer. We don't have video of that. It was our very first time raising roosters. We've raised chickens for years. It was our first time raising roosters, though, and our first time processing them. So that was kind of fun, and it's really interesting when you eat meat from animals that you've raised and you know how they were treated, and you know how they were treated for the butchering process, that they were treated humanely. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let me give you the instructions now. Okay, so this is pretty simple old-fashioned food, and for reference, I use my really old cookbook that is over 40 years old that I got when I was a newlywed. It was a few years old when I got it. Basically, you just start with the chicken, and then you add some vegetables and some salt and some seasoning, and cook it for 1 to 2 hours for a 2 to 5 pound chicken. So this chicken is 2 pounds, 2.93 pounds. So it's going to cook for about an hour and a half. The way that you know it's done is if you use a thermometer and you push this into the thigh. You don't want to touch the bone because the temperature can be different, and it should read 185. You can also push on the drumsticks and see if they're soft. That will tell you. And really, just if you can just cut the meat a little bit and look at the bone, and you can see if all the juices run clear, then you know that it's cooked thoroughly. So to start, I'm going to start with slicing up some vegetables. So a few things that I always put in when I roast a chicken is celery. It just adds such good flavor, and I hate to do a chicken without it. Good thing is if you have rabbits or dogs or other animals, you don't waste anything because you can feed it to them. I'm also going to teach you how to make bone broth in a little while, and so you can save those vegetable scraps for bone broth also. So I'm just putting in fairly large chunks of celery and the carrots, and I've already washed everything and scrubbed it. I don't peel my carrots. I just think it leaves more nutrients. My dog is actually in here, and he's hoping that he gets some carrots because he thinks they're good treats, and he likes to go out and feed the rabbits in the mornings because the dogs like to get carrots too. So it's as simple as this, and we're just going to throw everything into a pot with a lid. I often cook this in an electric skillet on the counter. In the summertime, that's how I would do it. It's just really easy, and the meat stays really moist because it just makes its own little oven in there and keeps all the juices in. But that's why you want it to be a covered pot, not uncovered. It'll just dry out if it's uncovered. I'm just cutting this a little more because it was a little thick. Celery, leave a little bit out. You're going to take your chicken, and I know that some people get really grossed out touching raw chicken, and I completely understand. And you want to wash your hands, and you want to be mindful of the raw chicken juice and not touching things that won't be washed or cooked. I'm kind of used to it, so it doesn't really bother me. If it bothers you, though, get some gloves. Just get some disposable gloves, and you can use those. So when you cook your chicken, you want to put it so the breast is up. It just helps it to roast better and all the juices to flow better. Now, I've got a garlic, just 1 clove of garlic, and I always put that inside the cavity. And then I always put some celery inside the cavity. I don't know what it is, but celery just tastes so good with the chicken. It just adds such a nice flavor. And we're going to pause for just a second while I wash chicken juice off my hands. Okay, and then potatoes, and I don't peel my potatoes. Again, I've scrubbed them, and I think they're fine. So I'm just going to cut up some potatoes, throw those in. This really does not have to be complicated. And the nice thing about it is you can get everything ready and throw it in the oven and let it cook while you run errands, run kids places. And it's so nice to come home and have a hot dinner ready, and you know how it was prepared. And if you can get an organic chicken, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. It's still going to be better than chicken nuggets or anything you're going to buy at a fast food place. So just do the best you can. We've never had our own homegrown chickens until now. All right, and then I always want to add some onion because it just adds such a nice flavor. And if you don't like any of these things, you can skip it. It doesn't matter. If you hate celery, don't do the celery. If you don't like onion, just skip it. And I'm just putting in big pieces of onion, and then a little bit of salt. And it doesn't have to be a whole bunch. Just kind of helps enhance the flavors. And then whatever herbs you want. And I am keeping this really simple because I want people to be encouraged and to say, I can do that. That's not very hard. So whatever herbs you like. So rosemary used to be my absolute favorite herb. And then last year I grew my own dill. And now dill is in the running for my favorite herb. But tonight I decided to go ahead and use the rosemary. And I'm just crushing it. And it's just dried rosemary from the store. I would use fresh, but I overwatered my rosemary plant inside this winter and I killed it. So it's just rosemary from the store. And I just crush it because it helps to make it smell better and just like releases all those aromatics. And I don't measure anything. So I'm just going to sprinkle some on and sprinkle it on the vegetables. And it is as simple as that. If you want to be a little bit fancy, you can add a little bit of butter because butter makes everything taste better, right? You can add just a little bit of butter in there. And that's it. And we're going to put the lid on. And I already preheated my oven to 375. And we're going to let it cook for an hour and 15 minutes. And then we'll check it. And we'll go from there. I already preheated the oven to 375. So I am just going to put this in here now and set my timer. Because I always set timers. Otherwise, I forget things. And we'll check back in an hour and 15 minutes. It's been an hour and 15 minutes and the timer is going off. So we are going to check the chicken and see how it is doing. Okay, it looks great. Grab my thermometer and we're going to see what the temperature tells us. And we're looking for 185. Looks like it's just about there. So pull this out and we're going to put it back in for a few minutes and we're going to leave the lid off of it this time so the skin can get a little browned. Push it back in. We'll set the timer again. I'll set the timer for 10 minutes and can be setting the table and getting everything else ready for dinner while that finishes up. Timer's going off again, so we're going to check our chicken again and see if it is browned. We're also going to check the temperature. It should be up to the 185, no problem. Okay, so it's plenty warm, so we're gonna, and it's as brown as I want it to get because I don't want it to get dry. We're just gonna cut into it. And see how it looks. And the juices all look clear. It looks like it's done. We're going to pull this out. Try to have it stay pretty. And then we've got all these vegetables in here that look delicious. And now you and your family can sit down and enjoy a homemade roasted chicken dinner from scratch. And you can give yourself a pat on the back. You did it. Now that you're a fabulous from scratch cook, make sure you save those bones and I will show you how to make bone broth in another video.
Now that's some tasty chicken.